Well, good afternoon, lovely ladies and gentlemen. Steve Collins coming to you from beautiful San Antonio, Texas, the second most powerful, passionate, purposeful coach and speaker in the world. Just went to go pick up my man, Steve-O, at HEB, where he's been working for about a month now. And we're living today a conversation with a Zig Ziglar statement, who said that it's your attitude, not your aptitude, that will determine your altitude, or how high you can go. So Steve-O, talk to me a little bit about that real quick. I know I got my woman's rental car here. I know it's gonna look a little crazy for a second, but I'll straighten it out in a minute, y'all. Talk to me a little bit about that. What's happening at work? You've only been there a month and they're like already trying to promote you 2-3 times. What's up with that?
Well, what happened was is they pulled me aside today and they're like, hey Steven, we've noticed that every day that you've been coming in, you've been having just a really great attitude, and that your work ethic is outstanding. And they said that we really like your customer service and how you just treat the customers and how will you interact with them. And I said, thank you very much. And that's
well, I just want to know though, but they're recognizing you. They're not recognizing all these other kids your age that are working there, but they're recognizing you day after day after day. Every time you go in there, you have a manager that comes up and talks to you, and customers that are actually going up to the managers to talk about you. Are you doing anything out of the ordinary or being completely different than anybody else?
Not really, absolutely not. Mm-hmm.
So what is it? I mean, if you're not being out of the ordinary, you're just being yourself?
Absolutely.
So what do you say, like when they say, so how you doing today? You say, how you doing? They say, I'm fine, young man. How are you? How are you answering them? What are you saying?
Well, I say what Les Brown says. I say, I'm doing better than good and better than most.
Better than good. Does that just catch them off guard?
It catches them a little bit off guard, because usually they're like probably so used just to hearing the same old vanilla answer, you know, just like, oh, I'm doing good, or oh, I'm doing okay. But a lot of them, they're surprised and like, wow, that's a great attitude. And they're just, most of them are surprised when I say that, because they're probably just used to hearing the same thing over and over.
Yeah. And you know, one of my pet peeves with your generation that I've done my best to teach you from the time we were young is when an old gray-haired guy like me says, thank you. You don't say, no problem. No problem. It's a very simple, you're welcome.
Or it's my pleasure.
Or my pleasure. Oh my goodness, even better. See, you're going to up it. You're going to up it on your papa here. Well, so would you agree then with what Zig Ziglar is saying when he says it's your attitude, not your aptitude, that determines your altitude? Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I would say that it has to do with about like 90% of it, because if you just go in with, like, you could be the most skilled person ever, but have a terrible attitude, and you won't be able to do much. It's all about your attitude, because if you're going in, like let's say you're clocking into work, or you're just going in the office, or doing whatever, and you already are sowing those seeds of negativity, like, oh, today sucks, oh, it's another day of work, oh, I had to wake up early, then you're already setting yourself up for failure. It's just, you have to have those positive affirmations before you go into work. I know this morning I was a little bit tired because I had a good weekend, I had a competition, I hung out with friends, and I was just a little bit tired and feeling a little bit unmotivated, and I was able to catch myself real quick, and I told myself, you know, today's going to be a great day of work. I read off my affirmations that I have written down, and I just told myself today's going to be a good day.
Whoa, time out. You have written affirmations?
Yes, sir. Written affirmations. I usually carry them around with me all the time at school.
This is my stank face.
Everything.
Okay, you got written affirmations.
Yes, sir, written affirmations.
Damn, boy. Mm-hmm. That sounds pretty good. Mm-hmm. Do you think all this stuff that's happening, you being promoted, being recognized and all that, you know, you're just pretty much getting lucky, right? It's just happening by accident?
It's not happening by accident, no. That'd be nice, but no, that's not how it works.
That's not how it works, huh? Well, son, so then we agree that. Now, I love what Zig Ziglar says when he says it's your attitude, not your aptitude, that determines your altitude. And the way we can plus that is by saying the peak of that would be when you have the attitude and the aptitude. Then the altitude becomes out of control. Absolutely. I mean, it's the sky's the limit. Any advice for folks struggling with a bad attitude today?
What I can say is just that if you do realize that you do have a bad habit of saying negative things or just not being very positive, all you got to do is just, whenever you recognize that throughout the day, just take captive of those thoughts. Just hold them and be like, nope, I'm not going to let that get to my head. And what you can do is also just write down affirmations of...
Just remember, there you go, we're back.
So back to what I was saying, something that helps me too is also just, or some advice, is doing what Zig Ziglar said, is that like if it's anything with like school, job, anything like that, all you have to do is just write down reasons like why you like what you're doing, or just other things like that. Like I know there was this one person he was talking to. This chick, like, she just hated her job, and she said she didn't like it, and he just told her, all you got to do is just write down things of why you like your job, and then switch those I like my job statements to I love my job, and just repeat that to yourself all the time. But just make sure that anytime those negative thoughts come in, just take captive and hold those thoughts and just throw them out the window.
I love it. Yeah, the lady with a real negative attitude, terrible. She said, I hate everybody at work. My work is terrible. Everybody there is mean. Everybody's unfair. Everybody's awful. That's the one you're talking about?
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
So he had her write down all the things she was grateful for. He's like, well, do they pay you? And she's like, well, yeah. And he goes, well, write that down. Well, do you have health coverage? Yeah. Well, then write that down. Okay. Do you have opportunity for promotion? Well, yeah. Well, then write that down. So she wrote all those things down. She said them every day. He had her saying it every day, looking at her face in the mirror every day. Changed it from I love 30 days later to I like to I love all these things about her job. He saw her again at a conference about 3 months later, and she came and she goes, Zig, remember what she told him?
She was like, everybody, for some reason, everyone at my work is like awesome now, or something like that.
Exactly. She said, hey, everybody at work changed.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And they didn't. It was her. So the point of the day is it is your attitude, not your aptitude, that will determine your altitude, which is why Steve-O's being promoted regularly at HEB just in the first 30 days that he's been there. It's not a mystery. There's a way to do it. It's your attitude, not your aptitude, that will determine your altitude. And to plus it, great attitude with great aptitude, well, sky's the limit, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
All right, you guys have a great weekend.